everyone, come on in because we are back for another car talk. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. I have published this video as a premiere. Yes, as a premiere. And hopefully some of y'all are catching it live or live at the premiere. It's not live all the way, but remember that song, All the Way Live? Anyway, it's not live all the way, but it is a premiere. And thank you to one of my subscribers for, dropping in the comments and giving me the suggestion to open up the chat, because our favorite part is the chat. We love to chat in the chat. And so I can't always do lives because one is I got a full-time job. Two, I'm on the West Coast, y'all, and the West Coast, most of the people I think that listen to me, heads up to all the West Coast people, maybe you can drop in the comments and tell me you West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, where are you? Drop it in the comments. But I think a lot of my viewers are in the East Coast. And by the time I get home from work to do a live or something, it's just too late. That 3 hours makes a big difference. Most of the time I miss other people's lives. I sometimes want to be on a viewer in a live, and it's just past that time. So welcome to the premiere. If it goes well, I think what I'll do is all the car talks, I'll upload them as premiere videos. That way the live will open up and it gives everybody for us to chat together. So it used to be like a FaceTime video, right? It used to be more like a FaceTime video, but now hopefully it'll feel more like a Teams call or a Zoom call, where now we all get to chat together. And but thank you for the suggestion. I think this will be a lot of fun. So hopefully some of you guys are already tuning in and joining in. I always get my subjects to talk about from the actual comments down from the videos, from the original Ready to Love. So after I do the Ready to Love video, I read all you guys' comments. As you know, I try to respond to everyone eventually. I know it's be delays because life be life, and I can't always do it in a certain amount of time, but I eventually get to it. And I like to hear what y'all are talking about, the feedback, where we agree, where we disagree. And I gotta say that this week, I don't know, I had a little bit of a competition between what I was gonna talk about, because everybody likes to talk about different things. And there were a couple of subjects that y'all brought up that I ain't gonna lie, it really piqued my interest. Besides the thumbnail video, which y'all know what the video is going to be about, is really going to be about the conversation surrounding Will. Is he broke, or is he a multimillionaire, as he says? We're going to get into that, because y'all know I like talking about numbers. I'm an engineer, so I like talking about numbers, and I think a lot of people don't understand numbers, and I think sometimes that leads them to make wrong decisions or not completely informed decisions. And although I think it makes them make wrong financial decisions just in their life, I think finances and relationships are tied together so much that, think about it, if you make wrong decisions in your own personal finances, even when you're just doing basic things, you could be accepting or discarding a mate based off those wrong financial concepts. So if you don't have an understanding of money, then how are you actually even evaluating the various people you say you want to evaluate when it comes to money? When people say, I want a man who is financially stable, or I want a man who is financially sound, but if you don't have any knowledge of what financially sound looks like, wouldn't that mean that you are evaluating people wrongly? So that could mean that you're accepting people you shouldn't accept. And that also could mean that you are also possibly discarding people that you should accept. I mean, if you think about it, if you really think about it, If your financial knowledge is not in tune, then that stuff flows downhill. So you may not just be making wrong financial decisions in your personal finances. You could be making wrong financial decisions in your relationships. So one of the interesting things that came up this week, which is why I settled on this conversation for our car talk, it was because of the two different points of views about Will. Is Will broke, or is Will a multimillionaire? Because first of all, we have Patrice on one side saying that Will said he was going to sleep on the floor. And from there, she deduced that Will might be broke. Now, we have Will come on here, and Will flatly denied saying that he even said that. He was on a whole rampage. He was like, it's war. I got to find the mole. I got to find the person who said this because I have to tell them I'm not broke. So when he finally did encounter and find the mole, find the person who said it, which was Patrice, one of the things that Will fixated on was that he didn't say it. He said, well, I didn't say that. And she said, well, that's what you said, and that's what I heard. Now, one of the things that was disappointing with Will, which I told everybody about in my video, was that I already knew that based on the way Will handled that comment, I said he's either new money, right? Which I think that might be what it is. He's new money. And I said, because anybody who's had money for a little while would not get into no tussle with no woman, no man, no whatever, over whether or not they slept on the floor. But Will also missed an opportunity to actually learn more about how Patrice evaluates men. See, when you see that question on my thumbnail, is he broke or is he a millionaire? Don't answer too quickly, because your answer may reveal something about you. And the way Will responded can also reveal something about him. So don't be so quick to answer my thumbnail question, y'all, because depending on how you see it, you may reveal something about you. And what I had said at that moment about Patrice was that Patrice jumping to the conclusion that Will was broke because he said, I'm sleeping on the floor with a blanket, I thought was premature. And Will, if I were Will in that situation, I wouldn't have spent all my time arguing with Patrice over whether or not she said it. I would have asked Patrice and said, well, you know what? I may not remember saying that, but let's say I did say it. So now what I want to know is, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you that, let's say I did say what you said, that I was sleeping on the floor with a blanket? Oops, my whole camera done fell, y'all. So my question is, what I would have asked Patrice, so let's say I did say it, that I slept on the floor in a house that I'm staging with a blanket. What does that mean to you, Patrice? That's what I would have asked Patrice. I wouldn't have spent my time arguing. I mean, if any of you guys have been watching my videos, I just think arguing people is such a waste of time. I said it with Koshia and Alonzo, and I'm saying it here with Will and Patrice. Arguing with someone over their viewpoint doesn't actually put you in a position of learning anything. All it does is you're arguing to be right. And I always say that you're better off seeking to understand a person than seeking to be right. And what Will and Patrice got into an argument over, or a back and forth, it wasn't like an argument, but a back and forth, was about was it said? Who was right? Who said it? Who didn't say it? Who's lying now? And I feel like the bigger conversation was learning about Patrice's knowledge surrounding money. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't jump to the conclusion that because he said he was sleeping on the floor with a blanket, that he was broke. I didn't come to that conclusion. I went over what I thought the reason was. I was like, well, I don't know. I've had real estate properties. I've fixed up properties. I've staged properties. I've slept at properties. I may have brought an air mattress and slept on the floor at one of my properties. I have. So does that mean that I was broke? No. I mean, maybe I'm guilty of being cheap, right? Maybe that's what it means. But I would really like to know from Patrice, how do you view that? Do you view that as cheap? Do you view that as broke? Because yeah, I may have done it, but maybe I'm viewed as cheap. Maybe I'm viewed as cheap. I mean, shoot, you know what? I'm about to go to a girlfriend's house, and it's a bunch of people, a bunch of us girls who are going to stay together. And my friend doesn't have enough bedrooms for all of us. She has like a 4-bedroom house, but it's like, I think 3 or 4 of us coming. And she says, you know, one of the rooms, it doesn't have a bed in it, but it has a, you know, because it's what she uses for her office. So I was like, girl, don't worry about it. I got the best air mattress in town, which I do. I said, I will bring my air mattress, and I could take the office. I'll blow up my air mattress. Does that mean that I'm broke? No, it just means that it's convenient for me to stay there with other people. My air mattress is very, very comfortable. I put me I got a mattress pad for it. I got covers for it. It's a big old queen size. I love it. I don't have no problem with it. So I wouldn't have jumped to the conclusion that Will was broke. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if I'm going to sound bougie. I don't know what. I don't care. But the way people have conversations around money, I feel sometimes it exposes them that they don't know what money looks like, and they don't know how people with money spend their money. I think sometimes what people do is they have this idea of people with money, how they spend their money and what they spend it on, and it's not true. I don't know if y'all have ever read, I mean, way back in the day in the 90s, there was this man called Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this is back in the 90s. So it's old. I'm quite sure there are, you know, better books out now. This is the only one I remember. So we're talking 20 years ago this book came out. But if you've never read any book on money, or I guess people don't read books no more, but if you've ever listened to a podcast or whatever, I really think women should listen to it, especially when they're out here dating. Because I'm telling you, especially if you want a man who makes money. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I might be bougie around the conversation. So if you are interested in a man that makes money, when you show up with low-level financial education and low-level financial conversation, I'm going to tell you, it makes you look bad. It makes you, I'm going to tell you the truth, because I even look and say, that person has low. Now, does it mean that I won't have a conversation? We know I'll have a conversation, but I will kind of say they kind of have low-level financial education. And I'm going to tell you one of the big things where I can spot a person with low-level financial education. And that is when people say, I want a man that makes 6 figures. That is like the most low-level conversation in finances I've ever heard. And it is a clear indication when I hear someone say that their financial education is at a low level. It's at a low level. I think I've had these conversations before, because I keep saying that gross income means nothing. I mean, look at right now. And I think even in our video, we talked a little bit about what did I think Maya was going to even give Justin the time of day. Because, you know, we already know that Maya wants the Barack Obama. She wants the power couple. And I was saying, well, you know, I don't think that Justin's going to fit the bill because he's a PE teacher. So I was still hoping that Maya would at least talk to Justin. I really did, because on paper, they seem to be in alignment in terms of like, they're both single. They both don't have any kids. They've both never been married. Justin clearly wants a family, even though he's telling Mika and everyone else he's willing to wait. Right? It seems like that's also what Maya wants. Maya's an entrepreneur. So on paper, in terms of some of the things they want, they do line up. But in terms of the money, him being a PE teacher, maybe not. But then you look at Maya over here having conversation with William. So you have William, who is twice married, twice divorced, with 3 kids. And I look at Justin, who has a PE teacher's salary, but is unencumbered with ex-wives or children. So the reason why I say it's a low level for her to have, and let me make this disclaimer. I'm not saying that Maya is a gold digger, so I don't want to go too far deep in saying this is what I know of Maya. I don't. I'm just kind of using it as an example. Because you have William, who has 2 wives and 3 children. That's a lot of doggone child support. That's a lot of doggone child support. I don't know what child support looks like in Texas, but here in California, you could easily be paying, $1,000 for a child, whatever. It could be a lot of money. So when I look at that, and then who knows if he's paying any amount of alimony, right? Or any other expenses besides, tuition or having to carry them on his health care. You just don't know. There's so many financial variables when it comes to ex-wives and children. So even if there is a PE teacher's salary, which Justin has, I would argue that it's very well possible that net income of Justin is higher than the net income of William. So although William may be getting discarded because he's a PE teacher, and his gross may be less than, say, William's, which we don't even know, I'm just talking, his net could be totally higher. That's why when I hear people talk about, I want a man that makes 6 figures, it just sounds so low level to me. It just sounds so basic to me. And if I'm a person that has money, I'm going to look at you and say, because you're walking around saying, I want a man that makes 6 figures, I'm not going to have a lot of, I don't want to call it respect, because I think I'm going to always respect people, but I'm not going to have a lot of think, oh, wow, they're so financially literate. I'm just not. It's not going to happen. So that's why I tell people, be careful how you answer questions, right? Especially with Patrice. Be careful what conclusions you come to. Because although you think you may be telling people about themselves, like Patrice might have been thinking she's coming up with some real type of, knowledge about William. In a lot of ways, it could be saying something about her. It really could. And then on William's side, let's talk about that. His back and forth with her on this subject, I'm telling you, made me think that if he has money, then it is new money, because he should be over this type of conversation, having it with a person. And then when he made the remark about he's a multi-millionaire, you know how I read that, especially being in the world of real estate? He said, with all these houses that I have, he could have a lot of houses, and he could also have a lot of equity in those houses, and that's what's creating the net worth of a multimillionaire. Does that mean he's got $2 million cash sitting in the bank? No. And that doesn't diminish the fact that he has a net worth of multi-million, because I don't know if y'all have read the statistics. Maybe someone can drop them down what it is. What is the average net worth of a person, the average American, or even the average Black American? And I remember reading some statistics before, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that the average net worth of African Americans, I think it's somewhere around $5,000, to be honest with you. $5,000. How many people, when they die, don't even have enough money, cash, to pay for their own funeral? You got people out here doing GoFundMes to bury people. So I'm not even want to diminish, even if Will is a multimillionaire through equity and property, because that's still a lot better than a lot of other people. And although property isn't very, it's not easily able to be liquid, you can't liquidate it in one day. Escrow takes longer than a day. 10 days is the shortest escrow I've ever been in. But you can liquidate it within 30 days if you want to. Or, if you get an all cash buyer. So I don't want to diminish his multi-millionaire status just because he ain't got it liquid. But even his remark about being a multi-millionaire, because I have a higher level of financial education, I don't even know what that means. I'm not going to just assume he's got $2 million sitting in the bank, and I'm not going to assume that all his money is in equity of his property. I don't know, but I know enough that if I really wanted to figure it out, I would know how to ask questions. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't do what Patrice did and come to a final conclusion and then take that conclusion back to other people like she did and voice it. Because in a lot of ways, she's thinking that she's making him look bad, but in a lot of ways, she made herself look bad too. She really, really did. So that told me a lot about her understanding of money. I think women who are out here dating, and I believe that on every woman's dating list, when I say, okay, everybody should have standards, you should have some non-negotiables, but some things need to be negotiable. I've always said that. Because in the end, everyone's going to settle. But if on your list of things that you want from a man, which more than likely most women have that on their list, some type of financial component of what they want, I'm going to encourage ladies to become more sophisticated in the way that they evaluate people over money. Just more sophisticated. Because if your evaluation is simply over, I want a six-figure man, that's just, it's low level. It's ridiculous. You need to get rid of that. I'm going to just say straight up. You need to get rid of it. You need to stop repeating it. You don't look good when you say it, and you especially don't look good when you say it to people who have money. I'm going to tell you right now, they look at you oddly, okay? You ever notice when you go buy a car and the dealer is always trying to talk to you about what your monthly payment will be? That's low level too. Because whenever I have bought a car, I always tell the salesperson, don't tell me nothing about my car payment. I don't want you to tell me my car payment because you have no idea about that car payment. Eventually you can get to the car payment if you're going to finance the car. But I'm not revealing to you all my options for you to be able to tell you my car payment. I want to talk about the price of the car, right? Because a lot of people, especially car dealers, they will get you talking about the car payment, but you don't realize you've negotiated the car payment so much, you never negotiated the actual car, the price of the car. And that's where the real money is negotiating the price of the car, not the car payment. I'll take a higher car payment over a lower price of a car if I can, right? So car payments are based on interest rates. They're based on how much money you put down, and they're based on the overall cost of the car. This is how people get put in trick bags out here with finances, because they don't really understand money. They don't understand the way money works. And as a result, they be out here evaluating potential partners based on their misunderstanding of money. And they could be missing out on people who have a lot of money because they're evaluating them wrongly. They're evaluating them on the car they drive. And they think, well, because you're riding around in a 10-year-old car or a 6-year-old car, or you're not riding around in a Range Rover or some fancy car, you must not have a lot of money. No, that's not what that means. That's not what that means. Let me tell you something. I have been in real estate a long time. I have owned rental properties, and my tenants never ever saw my nice car. Never saw it. There is no way I'm gonna ride over to any of my apartment buildings in a nice fancy car. It'll never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. And my daddy taught me that when I was a young girl, because my father also bought real estate properties, and he told me, he said, always have you 2 cars when you own real estate and you got tenants. You got one car that's your work car, and you have another car that you drive when you want to go out to nice places, you want to ride around in a nice car. There is no way my tenants would ever see me in no nice car. They're going to always see me in a Toyota Tercel. They're always going to see me in a Ford Fiesta. That's what they're going to see me in. They're not going to see me in no designer wear. They're not going to see me in anything. Nothing. Not at all. I'm broke. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So a lot of people have a lot of wrong opinions around money. There was another book. I don't think it was Robert Kiyosaki, but it was somebody else who said, what is the average type of car that real millionaires, multimillionaires, people with a lot of money that they drive? And everybody thought it was going to be like BMWs, Mercedes, Range Rovers, all these different things. And it was something like a Ford F-150. It was like a Buick. It was like cars that people don't associate with money, but that's what the people drove. And so when you sitting around and women are evaluating men on money, and they're evaluating them things on what kind of car do they drive, they're really, really missing it. When they're evaluating people on whether or not they slept on the floor with a blanket for a property that they own, that they're flipping or that they're fixing up or that they're staging it, they're missing a lot. They are missing a lot. I mean, men have a different standard. Now, maybe a woman may not want to sleep on the floor with a blanket, and there may be some men too. Like I said, I've taken my air mattress plenty of places, and that doesn't mean that I can't afford a hotel. It does not mean that. But maybe you can accuse me of being cheap. Now that I might have to confess up to. I know how to pinch a dollar. I know how to pinch a penny. But I think a lot of people are evaluating people by the wrong criteria, and you could be missing out on it. You could be missing out on some people that really might actually meet your financial criteria, but you have evaluated them and discarded them for the wrong reasons. For the wrong reasons. So to get back to what I was saying, I really want women that when you're making your list, because I know every woman got a list. Y'all got a list. I know y'all got a list. Some of y'all lists are too long. But when you're making your list regarding finances, I need y'all to go to another level. I need you guys to get more detailed. I need you to start understanding how money really works. I need you to understand net income versus gross income. I need you guys to educate yourself on net assets and net worth, right? That's kind of probably what Will was talking about. He was probably talking about his net worth. He was a multimillionaire. I need you to start understanding these things. I need you to start understanding money coming in and money going out. I need you to understand disposable income. I need you to get an idea of what type of stuff drains a person's income. A person with multiple kids, multiple marriages drains a man's income. It drains a woman's income. Let's be real. A lot of women make over 6 figures, but they may have 2 kids with men who are not paying child support or enough child support. And as a result, That's a big drain on your finances, a big drain. And then I want you to give another thought, because I just read an article. It had come up in my feed about, it was a story about this couple, this lady, and she was saying that now she makes 4 times as much money as her husband, but yet her husband had to go to therapy over it because he was jealous of the fact that she made 4 times as much income. So she was telling the story that when they first got married, he actually made more money than him. He actually made more money than her. She told the story that when they first got married, she was a social worker and he worked as like a auto mechanic, like, one of the auto techs at one of the car dealerships. And so as an auto tech, those auto techs, they make good money. He made more money than her as a social worker. But then she decided that she was going to start doing like social media, social network, a bunch of other stuff. And she eventually said she wanted to, get into the tech industry. And so over the years, she finally got this good job that she wanted, working for this tech company. And then all of a sudden her income skyrocketed. And then the work that she was doing in terms of like social work or mental health, or her, like her podcast or something, that also started popping for her. So next thing you know, she's gone from making less money than her husband to now she's making more money than her husband. And then what became the issue was that because she was making more money, and it was a dream of hers. This is what she wanted. It was a dream of hers to have this type of success. So it ended up being that he quit his job. They said, well, no. Before he quit his job, he took a pay cut because it was too much for her to be doing this new high-powered job plus her podcast, and they had 2 young babies. So what happened was he took a lesser job so that he would have flexibility with the children, and that means he took a 50% pay cut. So now, not only was she making more than him, he then had to make less money to make this whole thing work, but overall as a family, they're doing way, way better. And that 50% pay cut and her making 4 more, I guess it started causing problems in their relationship. So he told her, hey, I'm going to need to go to therapy about this, because he recognized that he has some internal struggles going along with it. And he said after therapy, he came to the realization that, he was just jealous of her. He was jealous the fact that she was making 4 times as much money, and he had to deal with that. So to come back full circle to what, we're talking about today with these lists and what you want your man to make, one thing I also want to say is money and income is not static. It's not static. If you talk to people in marriages, you will find out that situations can change in your marriage, especially if you're married over a long period of time, 20 years or 30 years, because one person can start off making more money, but depending on your career trajectory, depending on your own dreams, your own wishes, your goals, you could easily turn out making more than your spouse. And that's the part I never really understood with women. I never understood, why would you want to limit yourself to make less than a man? I never understood. I do understand the part about like what happened with this family, that when you make more than a man, that could cause problems. And that doesn't mean that's not a problem you have to deal with, just like this man had to go to therapy. I do believe it can cause problems. But I don't understand how you would choose the opposite, and that is limit your money so that the man can make more than you, and so that the man is not uncomfortable. So I means I gotta limit my dreams, my goals, how much money I want to make, just so the man can stay in the position of making more money than me. just so I can keep him in a position of feeling good. Well, what about my dreams and my hopes? And I don't understand. And if you know that your financial situation can change over the course of 20, 30 years, why would you start that from the beginning with the saying, I want the man to make more than me? So what are you saying? You not hoping for no big paycheck? You not hoping to make a whole lot of money? It's just so weird to me. And then what I don't understand is, what does that mean? That after you make more money, then you'll go to your husband and say, hey, I just started bringing in an extra 10 grand a year or 20 grand a year. So I'm going to need you to step up and bring in another 10 or 20 grand a year. Is that the way y'all want to set up your marriages? It's just so weird to me. And the other reason why I know this is a bigger issue is because a lot of women, when you see women who've been in their careers a long time and who've gone back and gotten more education, you will often find that women in their later years, their income does start to exceed a man's income. A lot of situations, and this isn't just with black women, it's actually with white women. Women are more apt to go back to school and get like advanced degrees. I think it's a real known statistics that women are more comfortable going back and getting masters and PhDs. I think now across the board, across the board with white women, black women, whatever, there are way more women in master's programs and PhD programs. So when you start off in a relationship with a man, let's say you're on equal footing, you both are making the same amount, or he could be making even more than you. If you're a woman who's already decided, and let's say you're in social work, just like that example I said, and you want to go back and get your master's or PhD or whatever else, there's a good chance you're going to start out earning that man. And I see that a lot with even my friends as I've gotten older, that in the beginning of their relationship, the man actually did make more than them. But the women, they went back to school, they got advanced degrees, they got masters, they did a lot of other things. And now they actually out-earn their husbands. I mean, look at, if you want to give an example of how things change, look at all the housewives. We all watch these reality shows. Every housewife now out-earns her husband. I guarantee you. Look at Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Kimes. I guarantee you Dr. Heavenly brings in more money than Dr. Damon Kimes. Between her own business as a dentist, between all her other side business, owning her beauty supply store, now she's got a school, and her check from Bravo, she out-earns Heavenly. All those housewives, Dr. Jackie, Dr. Simone, even Toya, who we talk about was gold digging on Eugene or using Eugene for his money, Toya out-earns Dr. Eugene. There's no way Eugene is earning $2 million a year in salary. I don't believe it. Nope. Toya's making $1 to $2 million, I think, right? Or $1 million at least on that. So even in the scenario where these women signed up to be, or some of them signed up to be housewives, look at Potomac. You got Robin out-earning her man. You have, the Grand Dame. She out-earning her man. He's 70-something years old, still working. She is out-earning him. You look at Candace. Candace is out-earning her man. These are women that maybe when they started in the relationship, the men were out-earning them. But look where life took them. Look where life took them. That's why I say that when you're out here developing your list, it is so simplistic to say, I want a man that earns more than me, and I want a man who earns 6 figures. It's low level. It's so low level. And people need to elevate. Come up with a different criteria. Want a man that's more financially literate. Want a man that knows how to live within his means, whatever his salary is. Want a man that knows how to manage his money, that doesn't outspend his earnings. Want a man that's not going to bankrupt you, where if you do make money, he ain't going to be spending your money and bankrupting you. Want that type of balance. Want a person who's financially literate, financially educated. And you won't find that man if all you're doing is running around talking about, I want a man that earns more than me and makes 6 figures. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds absolutely ridiculous. Get rid of it. I'm talking about all the things we need to get rid of in 2024. I told women to get rid of the conversation surrounding I'm not going to settle. Get rid of the other conversation surrounding I want a 6-figure man and I want a man that earns more than me. Elevate, ladies. Elevate. Let's call 2024 the year of elevation, please. Anyway, that's it, y'all. That's it. That's all I got to talk about. Hopefully you enjoyed the open the chat up and also drop down in the comments, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.